Welcome back to Tully Television, and today we are going to be getting into Hawkeye episode 3. But before we get into all that, I want to thank you for stopping by and liking, commenting, sharing, hitting all on that bell notification when you subscribe. If I have yet to earn your subscription, I'm hoping today is the day that I can get you to hit that red subscribe bar down below. Only together can we grow this channel and this community and go straight to the moon, baby. Um, but yeah, let's get into Hawkeye episode 3. Directed by Bert and Bertie, written by Katrina Matheson, Tanner Bean, and Jonathan Igla. Stars Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, Vera Farmiga as Eleanor Bishop, Tony Dalton as Jack Nicholson, Alaqua, Alaqua Cox as Maya Lopez, aka Echo, Darnell Bisson as Child Maya, Zan McLaren as William Lopez, Maya's father, Frey Free as Kazi, and uh, yeah, yeah, Frey Free as Kazi. Now, this episode starts off with how episode 1 started off with Kate as a child and how her childhood defined who she was today. We're starting off with Maya as a child, and she's sitting in a classroom, and we learn very early that she's deaf because she's, uh, from her perspective, she's looking around at what the other kids are doing when she sees they're taking out their notebooks to, do notes or practice writing. She then decides to take her stuff out. Um, Seems like she may be advanced because this seems to be like second or third grade class, but she still seems to be very young, maybe first grade age. So we already see that there's an advancement in her intellect, even though there may be a disadvantage with the hearing, some may say. The brains and intelligence seem to be there. We then transition over to a conversation she's having with her father about thinking that they were going to be able to have the finances to send her to a school that can cater to her uh, disadvantage, so to speak, to a deaf school, so she can be taught by teachers and interact with students who understand where she's coming from. And unfortunately, there seems to be some financial problems uh, on the father's part, because Willie basically says that he apologizes to her and lets her know that um, doing it this way will be a benefit for her anyway. Living in both worlds, she'll be able to think better, problem solve better, and so he basically is unable to send her to a specialized school. Then we also pick up with her in capoeira school, or like a mixed martial arts school that seems to be run by the tracksuit mafia and Uncle. Um, we see Willie talking to a young Maya saying, after practice, Uncle's going to take you out for ice cream. And we hear some heavy footsteps approaching Maya and squeeze a little chubby cheek. And she smiles up at Uncle. She sees in class, mixed martial arts class, the best fighter. She begins to see his movements, and when it's her time to fight the best fighter in the class, There's not obvious size difference because he's a big kid, and she's such a small little kid herself. You think that this big kid's gonna be eat her for a snack, you know what I mean? But no, Maya does the takedown. I mean, it was two kids training MMA. They weren't going to show a whole like Punisher versus Daredevil fight or something. It's like it's kids, we're not going to get up, but it's to show that her confidence is beginning to grow because she was able to be like, oh, okay, I took this big guy down, compared to her. So we see her. We see the path that she's beginning to take as a person and her confidence building, much the same way I'm sure Kate's did, confidence building through these tournaments of fencing and archery and what have you. So we do that. I just want to say that the interaction between the father and young Maya was very sweet. Even though he was part of the tracksuit mafia and working for Uncle, he still was a father trying to do good by his daughter and love his daughter. So we can see it was a good use of showing some sympathy and empathy towards Maya as a character. Um, and then the final transition scene we see as far as Maya and her father William's interactions was one night as Clint was in his Ronin persona, obviously during the blip, because he became Ronin due to his family getting blipped and not caring anymore. He had gotten some information about where the tracksuit mafia was. He went, and by the time Maya got there, Ronan had already killed. He killed William in front of her, basically, and then took off. And basically, William died in Maya's arms, and basically, she made a vow to take Ronan down if possible. Um, it's becoming a real issue because as we transition to Clint and Kate being now held hostage by the tracksuit mafia in the closed down KB stores. And by the way, let me know what your favorite toy store was down below. Toys R Us or KB toy stores. Um, I thought both was great. I was more of a Toys R Us guy myself. I guess that was what I was raised on. KB stores came a little later. I wasn't at least introduced to them until later on. But yeah, I'm a Toys R Us kid. Are you? Um, so uh, what we see is Maya freeing Clint because she notices the hearing aids and wants to sign to him. And she's asking, what's going on here? She's obviously not Ronin. Like, she's not Ronin. But why does she have the Ronin costume? And why are you involved? You're an Avenger. Why are you involved? And why does she have the Ronin costume? Because obviously she's not Ronin. Like, and at least cooler heads are prevailing on that subject of the conversation. He explains to her that Ronin is dead, that the Black Widow had killed him, and in a sense that was true. She killed the spirit of Ronin because if she killed the body of Ronin, well, she would have killed Clint because Clint was Ronin. She killed the spirit of Ronin with the promise of the ability of bringing the family back. So she was able to stifle that personality, that uh, persona that he was having at the time. And Maya is like, well, you know how convenient that the person who killed the person I'm trying to kill is now dead, so I can't really question her on whether Ronan's really dead. And it's still proven that no one at this point is really realizing that Clint is Ronan. You know what I mean? It's not really like connecting to anybody. It's so there that it's like, oh yeah. It's almost like if you were Peter Parker's friend and you're like, Yeah, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Holy shit!" Like, or when you finally figure out, or it's revealed to you, wait, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like, oh shit, yeah. Anyway, still not realizing that you know that they're the same person. So in the meantime, Clint was able to undo the restraints on his arm, his wrist. He was able to free himself and was able to get to his bow and arrow. And now we really get to see Hawkeye going to town. We get to see Clint with his hands on his bow and arrows and really let loose, so to speak. So he starts fighting everybody. And when he's shooting his arrows, he's not shooting to kill. He's shooting to stop you at the moment, whether it be shooting you in the shoulder, shooting you in the leg, because he's such a Hawkeye. He can shoot these arrows in your head like that, and you have really no time to react to that degree. Because again, he's an Olympian level marksman. You can't really get any better as a marksman, as someone who can fight. He's this is what he's meant to do, and Um, at one point, he was able to shoot an arrow past Kazi, caught him on the cheek, and freed Kate of her restraints. She was able to fight these guys off a little bit enough to for both of them to get outside, get into a car, and this whole car chase scene was crazy. It was uh, basically shot in one shot, like one continuous shot for the most part. There might have been a cut here or there kind of from the middle to the end of the chase. But we see this car chase and we get to see some trick arrows in action, so to speak. But none of them are marked, which will come back, later in the series. So Kate's not understanding which arrowheads are which, so he she's trying to grab him. Clint's trying to drive, and he's like, "Wait, no, not that one. That's dangerous." And he gives her another one, and that one like blows up uh part of a car, and she's like, "You got more dangerous ones than that." Like, you would think that the blowing up car arrow or blowing up whatever the arrow hits would be dangerous enough. Like, you would think like that would be a pretty good arrow to use initially, but you have more dangerous ones than that. um interesting, but at one point, we see an arrow that gets shot, uh, and it kind of like it's like a purple foam that encompasses the car. We also see like gas arrows, exploding arrows, where when it hits, it explodes whatever the arrow impacts. At one point, Kate shoots a suction cup arrow, and it hits the windshield of Echo's car that she's in, and everyone's just kind of like, okay, like a suction cup arrow, okay. Clint was like, you'd be surprised when you would need something like that, and finally we're coming across a bridge, and oh, before I tell you what the big trick arrow was, uh, one of the other trick arrows that they used was like a grappling hook arrow where They shot it at one of the cars chasing them. Kate did, and it hit the grill of the car, and then it sent like grappling hooks out to the side of the arrow. And they happened to be driving through a Christmas tree lot, and it grabbed all these Christmas trees, at least 10 to 15 of them, and all converged on the car, and it made the car stop. So you had to basically get out and try to cut all these Christmas trees out from around your car to even consider continuing the chase with them. Finally, they get on this bridge and they kind of make this last stand, so to speak, in Hawkeye. Clint and not Maya, Clint and Kate are standing outside on this bridge, and Clint is like, "Okay, when I shoot this arrow up in the air, I'm going to tell you when to shoot your arrow and hit that arrow." And she's like, "Okay." Uh, so he shoots the arrow. Everyone's, the tracksuit mafia guys, the ones left in the chase are coming. He shoots the arrow. It starts descending a little bit, like ascending. And then when it's about to start doing the crescendo of coming down, he's like, shoot! So she shoots it, and they wound up using a pin particle arrow where it totally made Clint's arrow into this huge arrow blocking everybody. And then the suction cup arrow makes its appearance again because he jumps from the bridge down to the secondary part of the bridge underneath where they were at because that's train tracks were there, so they were able to suction cup themselves onto the train um, and basically escape from there. Um, Afterwards, when Echo and Kaji went back to the toy store to get out of there, because now the cover was blown, Kazi was worried about Uncle finding out what's been going on because it doesn't seem like this has been an official sanctioned mission by Uncle. Um, they go, Clint and Kate go back to the hideout that they are at, and in the meantime, Clint's younger son had called, and Kate had to help him uh, go through the conversation because he didn't have the hearing aids in. So she was writing down what the boy was saying and showing Clint. Clint would respond, and he's like, "I'm sorry I missed movie marathon day, and I'm sorry that I'm gonna miss ugly Christmas sweater night, because these were things that he promised them to do for Christmas. Being it was like the first Christmas back from the blip, and you can kind of feel like the sadness and everything when he hangs up the phone with the son, and he thanks Kate for helping him out with the conversation with the son. And I think that's like really when he was able to be like, that was decent of her to do. She didn't have to do that for me, especially when I've been so like, oh, she didn't have to help me talk to my son. And so that's when you kind of see maybe him turning the page and how he looks at Kate a little bit better. Um, it, yeah, let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, trick arrows. I just want to make sure I get everything correct. So then, what we decide to do is go to Bishop Kate brought Clint to her home, basically that she grew up in, because her mother has like access to files and stuff like that that they can check out. And when they get home, she's looking and finds out that the tracksuit mafia is getting paid by a legit organization that's overseen by Bishop Security. And as she's finding this out, we see Clint roaming around a little bit, and then we see Jack basically using the Ronin sword to basically put it up to Clint's neck, and that's where we leave the episode. Um, so we're gonna see in the next couple episodes if Jack does have a history with Ronin or Clint, and where his intentions lie. We're seeing more of a connection between Kate and Clint, and really wants to finish this up so he can get back home because he's basically like telling his wife like I need to finish this. It seems to be bigger than what I initially thought. The wife is basically letting him do what he needs to do, but we'll see where this leads for episodes 4, 5, and 6. 3 more episodes to review after this. Um, I've really loved this series so far, and really have enjoyed Kate's character better than I thought I would, because you can kind of see that for all the bravado, for all the confidence that she has, she's still a scared young lady. She's only 22, 23, and I don't care how, for the most part, how tough you are, unless you grew up in a house of violence. Um, no matter how much you train to do violence, uh, if you never committed violent acts or you've never been witness to violent acts on a regular basis, it's harder for you to come to terms with doing stuff like that. So I'm glad that that's affecting her. She's just not the bestest ever. I've really enjoyed the progression of Kate Bishop so far in this series. I never got why they called her like a Mary Sue character because she's gotten her ass kicked. You see cuts and bruises on her, on Clint. Um, a good little conversation they had before I wrap this video up is she asked about the hearing aids, and he was like, well, and kind of explains to her certain things, and you have to realize that even at the latest of things where Thanos came and blew up the Avengers headquarters in upstate New York, he's like the only human guy there, you know what I mean? Like at least Ant-Man and War Machine and Tony had armor on. Captain America's a super soldier. Thor's a god, so um, it's you know, he's frail. His body can only do so much. So yeah, I can only wonder how many concussions this man has had. And how many devastating explosions happened near his ears and stuff. So I thought that was a cool thing to get into to show that he too is frail, but keeps going on despite this disadvantage, so to speak. I'm liking the show so far. I still love WandaVision the most. I know I said in my first video that there was 2 other series that came out before Hawkeye, but it was actually 3. I forgot about What If. Uh, Out of the 4 shows so far, it's WandaVision for me, uh, Hawkeye second, What If third, Loki fourth. Um, I wish Loki was a little bit higher up for me, But out of the shows, I have to say that's the ranking so far. WandaVision, Hawkeye, What If, and Loki so far. Those are my thoughts on episode 3 of Hawkeye. Let me know what you've been thinking of Hawkeye so far down below. And until next time, peace, Nickums.